Now turn to Section 4. Section 4. You will hear part of a psychology lecture. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Is anyone familiar with the term parapraxis? Well, by the looks on your faces, I can surmise that you are not, or that at least if you are not aware of the fact. In actual fact, I am very confident that all of you have come across parapraxis before, but you may recognise it by its more familiar name, a Freudian slip. A Freudian slip is an error in speech, memory, or physical action, which can be interpreted as having occurred on account of some repressed or subconscious wish, conflict, or train of thought. Some would pass off these glitches in our speech as slips of the tongue. But in psychoanalysis, a discipline founded by none other than Freud himself, whose name, of course, has lent itself to the term here described, they take on much more significance, and indeed can often give an insight into the speaker's deepest and most suppressed inner thoughts. There is a common misconception, however, that all slips of the tongue can be interpreted as Freudian. In actual fact, for a Freudian slip to have occurred, the speaker must not consciously be aware that they were thinking or feeling the things that the slip revealed. For example, if a man is in love with a woman he knows, but has never told her, and in conversation, when asked by the woman whether he would like to accompany her to a movie, he replies, "I would love you," as opposed to, "I would love to." This is not a Freudian slip. Why? Because the man is consciously aware of his feelings for the woman. They are secret from her, but not from him. For a slip to be truly Freudian, the feelings must be secret from the speaker, as well as the person being spoken to. In other words, the speaker must not consciously be aware of how he feels. Freud believed passionately in the notion that nothing happened by chance, and that the numerous little slips of one sort or another that people make in their speech could be interpreted to reveal something useful in psychoanalytical terms about the speaker. He was convinced, in the particular case of Freudian slips, that they revealed the presence of restrained or repressed intentions. Freud held a similar view of dreams, and indeed is probably most famous for his work on dream analysis. However, the Freudian viewpoint is not without its skeptics. Many cognitive psychologists argue that slips of the tongue can be explained away for a much more simple reason. They are linguistic slips which result on account of poor attention to detail, insufficient knowledge, incomplete sense data, and so on. Another explanation they give for such slips is the influence of locally appropriate response patterns that are strongly primed on account of recent activation or prior usage. That is, we sometimes use the wrong words because they are close to the forefront of our thoughts, having already been used very recently, or having been used in a similar but slightly different context before. Linguists support this view and also point out that some sentences and phrases even lend themselves to error on account of the fact that they contain archaic or very old and rarely used words, or unusual expressions with forms that can easily be mixed up and confused. They argue, therefore, that such slips are down to strong habit substitution. In other words, we commonly replace unfamiliar words and phrases with words and phrases that sound similar or that are close in meaning, but which may, in the particular context in which they are spoken, not make adequate substitutes for the replaced words or phrases. What is clear is that.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test. You now have 10 minutes to transfer your answer to the listening answer sheet.